Hello and welcome. This is the Manifestation Mastery Course video 39A. And today I'm going to share with you how your ego is controlling you. So first we have to talk about what the ego is. So the ego is, actually the truth is I don't like to use the word ego because there's really nothing wrong with having a sense of self. And ego is just simply the Latin word. It's also the Greek word for I. Means the self. But people use the word ego. Here we go. I'm putting together my links here. People use the word ego to signify something bad. Oh, you're so full of ego. But we do have to acknowledge that the self is important for our existence. Without it, we wouldn't function. So, while we're on the subject of ego, I have to tell you what this channel needs in order to function. So, this is video 39A of the Manifestation Mastery course. Watch this video all the way to the end because I'm going to teach you a very simple and yet powerful technique which you can use to neutralize the self-destructive actions of the ego. So for that, wait till the end of the video and then I will direct you to another video where I'm just going to share with you that very simple technique of how to neutralize that so that you can actually have more in your life. Okay? But today we're going to talk about how the ego can limit your life and how it controls you the same way a child or a toddler or an infant actually controls the whole room. So we'll talk about it in a second. Anyway, neo.thunderwizard.com if you want the 4 tools to be able to master this universe and learn how to get everything that you want out of life. Courses.thunderwizard.com if you want my books, all of my DVDs, all of my video teachings, all of my services, and everything all in one page. And of course, subscribe, hit the bell button. While I'm on the subject, I have to give out a shout of thanks to one of my producers. This is Grace Channeler, and she is a contributor to the Patreon channel at one of the higher levels. And so I am saying thank you to her and for her support of the channel. And you can visit her link at gracechanneler.com. Okay, so now let's talk about this. Your ego is a baby and it wants your attention now. How can you stop your ego from controlling you? Okay, so as I said, there's nothing wrong with the ego. The ego is actually very necessary. Without it, you would cease to exist. Because without your ego, you would not be hemmed in this 3-dimensional world in which we live. Okay? So that's important to understand. The ego actually hems your infinite spirit into this 3-dimensional world, into this Maya, into this illusion that we live. And this Maya, this illusion that we live in as human beings, is only a problem if you're attached to it, if you allow it to define you, if you forget that you are here to enjoy and play. If you forget that, then you become a slave, you become trapped. That's when misery hits, that's when poverty, all these things. So your limitations are a creation of your own ego in order to keep you in this 3-dimensional world. Now, as long as you understand that that's what's happening and you realize that this is a choice, that you volunteer, that you've chosen for this, then it becomes a challenging, fun game. If you don't realize that and you think that you're a victim, then you see things differently and consequently and ironically you keep creating all of the limitation that you're complaining about. So again, back to the baby. What do babies do? Babies have really one way that they control you, through sound. They can't speak, they can't move, they can't do anything for themselves, but the one thing they can do is they can make a lot of noise. In fact, babies are the loudest screamers in the room. Nobody can scream as loud as a baby. And I have to give credit where credit is due. My girlfriend and I were in the grocery store, and there was women with their, like there was one woman in particular that had 3 or 4 kids of all different ages, little kids. And of course, they were doing what kids do. They're grabbing things and making noise, even if it's laughing and playing, whining, whatever it is. There's just this constant cacophony of noise, which the parent is having to deal with and put out 3 or 4 fires all at the same time. And she was mentioning how that's what little children do. They just control everything through the sounds that they make, all the noise that they make. And I was thinking about that, and I thought to myself, what? That's actually pretty profound, because that's actually what the ego does. The ego makes all this sound. It whines and complains in order to keep you controlled, in order to keep you in this limited game. And so I love this picture here. This is from, I'm sure some of you may recognize what show that's from. Um, but that is what it feels like. You're an adult walking around, supposedly making choices, choosing to live your life, supposedly in control of your life. And then there's this part of you on the inside that is making this noise all the time about whatever it is, whatever you're complaining about. So, I want you to be honest with yourself. I don't care how spiritual you are. There's no shortage of things you can be complaining about, things that you can be feeling stressed out about, feeling um, angry about, on extreme levels, feeling totally victimized about. And this is nothing more than your ego. And I'm not trying to minimize what's happening. You might have some real serious problems. Maybe you got some serious health problems. Maybe you got serious financial problems. Maybe emotional relationship problems. Whatever it is, pick it. There's always something that we can be talking about that needs to get fixed. This is going to destroy the world. It's been going, I've been on this planet for a while, and 20, 30 years ago, it was communist Russia. Well, Russia's not communist anymore. We could debate whether or not they are a threat to democracy, but that threat is gone. Um, we could. It just, there's no shortage of problems that we can be talking about. Why there's so many problems in the world. In your life, I want you to be thinking about the things that bother you, the things that annoy you on a daily basis. Your job, your roommate, your parents, your spouse, the economy. It doesn't matter what it is. Your ego wants to complain about that. And as you get trapped in that complaint, that keeps you trapped in 3-dimensional reality. It keeps you trapped in the illusion that you have no control, that you are here um, by the whims of the gods or God or whomever. And so, again, we have to start with assumptions. If you have correct assumptions, you will make correct conclusions. And if we start with the assumption that your soul is infinite, that your soul has come here to fulfill its desires, but yet in order to really take the most advantage of this 3-dimensional existence, it has to at least believe the illusion that it is finite. Now, here's what can happen. I want you to completely flip the idea of how you look at your life and the problems in your life. You think the problems in your life are keeping you down. You think, if only I had more money, if only my spouse would do this, if only the government that, if only, listen, you're not going to make me believe that you don't have that. If that weren't the case, you wouldn't be watching videos about how to become masters of manifestation. You have to have at least experienced this at some point in your life. Okay? So I want you to take a different look at it. Instead of looking at these are the blocks to my freedom, the blocks to my happiness, and I have to get rid of these things. I want you to turn it around. What if what is happening is that the universe is constantly stimulating you on an energetic, on a spiritual level, so that you will rise to a new level of existence? What if there was nothing stopping that, you would just continue to expand and evolve? Now, having been there and having experienced that, and currently I am experiencing it right now, I can tell you that that can be a very frightening, overwhelming, and even painful experience, because you have to die to the limitations that define you. You know, we walk around with a story in our head all the time. My name is Michael William Denny. I am 56 years old. I live here. I do this. I am this. These are the stories that are constantly being told to us all the time, which we use to regulate and define our reality. This is a survival technique. If we don't do that, we go crazy and we stop living in this body. We stop experiencing this three-dimensional reality that we have chosen to live in. So I want you to look at all of the things that bother you in your life. Those are actually ways that your ego is controlling you. If your soul is the parent, you know, your ego is constantly whining and making noise in order to grab your attention and keep you away from relaxing into evolving into the next level of your being. So pick one. Money. Most people around here, you know, the majority of the reason that people want to learn how to manifest is they want more money, because they think money will give them freedom, which it won't. I can tell you there's no shortage of people who have all kinds of money who are not free, and in fact their money makes them more trapped. You know, this illusion that owning property is somehow going to help you, you know, give you something. It doesn't. I mean, you think about it. If you own property, then you are paying a bank, you know, unless you're really rich and you have millions of dollars to just spend in, you know, and buy something outright. Most of us have to go to a bank. You have to go to a bank, and the bank will buy the house, and then we end up paying the bank back with interest. There's no difference between that and renting. The only difference is in 30 years, if you're lucky, you will own the house. But if that's not the case, then you're coming out of pocket every month. And on top of it, you're responsible for all of the repairs. You're responsible to repair everything in the house. Doesn't matter if you lost your job and you can't afford the mortgage payment. Something breaks, you got to fix it. You got to go, you know, hire somebody to fix it or fix it yourself. If you rent it, doesn't cost you anything. You know, you call the landlord and say, "Hey, the sink's broken. You know, send a plumber," and they have to send a plumber right away to fix it. So I know that there's some other things about equity and some other stuff like that, but in my experience, for the most part, all that people do is complain about the houses that they own. I rent. I can just pick up and move and go wherever the hell I want. If I don't like living someplace after a while, I can pick up and move. Okay? So money doesn't always give you freedom. Money can tie you down. Another one is job. Let's say you get a job that gives you a lot of money. I've known somebody. I'm thinking of a friend that I know that had this problem. He looked at my life and he said, "Man, I love your life." At that time, I was broke and in debt and going through a bankruptcy. But I made the choice to do that because I didn't want to work for anybody else, and I was starting my own business, and I was investing all of my time and my money into that business and living on credit cards, you know, hoping that it would take off, which of course it did. And he said, "I love the way that you live." And I said, "Oh, what are you talking about? You've got this great job. You got this house in the mountains." And he says, "Yeah, but I'm a total slave to my job. I need the money," you know, because he had this house and he had the this and he had the that. and he had to pay for it all. So he needed to keep that job with all that money. I didn't have to do that. And he looked at me as somebody who was free and happy. And the truth is he ended up getting very sick. He got a brain aneurysm and he lost that job and had to marry somebody he didn't really want to marry, who ended up controlling him because who else was going to take care of him? And I look back and I said, man, I'm grateful that I didn't do that, because that kind of stress will give you things like brain aneurysms and, strokes. It's just all the stress. So I want you to look at all of the negatives in your life, and instead of looking at them as blocks, look at them as ways that you have chosen to use to keep yourself from expanding beyond what you are. And that's really what it's about. So in the next video, the Manifestation Mastery Course 39B, I am going to share with you an incredibly simple technique that you can use to identify all those kids. Remember I was talking about, we were in the grocery store and there was a woman and she had 3 or 4 little kids all making her attention. Oh, stop that. Give me that. Come here. That's okay. Stop crying. Let go of that. She was just constantly having to monitor all of the kids. And the kids, that's how they controlled. Some of them were laughing. Some of them were singing songs. And some of them were mommy. And some of them were whining. It just doesn't matter whether they're happy, sad, upset. They're controlling the parent all the time. It's a full-time, complete focus of your energy and your attention, monitoring all the kids that are making all of the noise, getting all of the attention, and keeping you focused on them. So I'm going to be teaching you a very simple technique to identify them and to neutralize that, turn it around so that you can expand into the next level of your vibration. So for that, you're going to go to thunderwizard.com and you're going to scroll down on the right side of the page and you're going to see Manifestation Mastery Course. You're going to click on that. You're going to click on Manifestation Mastery Course and you're going to subscribe. And the reason why you're going to subscribe is because you are serious about wanting to control your reality and get reality to serve you. Because let me tell you why you are here. You are destined to be an infinite God in human form. And in that human form, you are destined to learn how to have the universe serve you so that you can literally think your reality into existence. Okay? So go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at the Manifestation Mastery Course and then look for video 38B. I will see you over there.